Astrology is not just an ancient text, but it is an astronomical model defined by the movement of planets and stars through observation from our home planet Earth. Few have ventured into the deep mystical space of this dynamic science that holds the key to past, present, and future and all of humanity. It's a model that defines matrix of existence. Through this video series, we will explore few basic concepts of this mystic art to understand its enormity. Hello Seekers, welcome to Punneit Astrology, your one-stop astro channel. Continuing the series on the planets, today we will talk about Mercury. Do not forget to hit like, subscribe and share and hit the bell icon so that you never miss another update. And explore other videos on this channel, Punneit Astrology, to get more insights into the world of Vedic astrology. Mercury, also known as Budh, is a planet which is very close to Sun. Mercury defines logic, reasoning, calculation. It rules our consciousness, subconsciousness, thinking ability, and communication skill. It is a planet that rules numbers. It's a planet that rules and defines mathematics, share market, trading, business, and everything that involves some sort of number game, money, calculation, and any kind of logic involved in that. Mercury also rules travel, finance, banking system, and in the human body, Mercury rules the nervous system. Apart from all the locomotory organs like hands, Mercury also rules verbal skill, communication skill, the way you can represent yourself. Now, why does Mercury is like this? Mercury has a very close significations to all these areas of life. Understand that Mercury is always very much close to Sun. Mercury is approximately always within 25 degrees of the Sun, either ahead or behind. Mercury is always going to be one who will convey the message of Sun. So Mercury is the messenger. For a messenger, he has to be very close to source in order to relay the information. And that is why Sun, Surya, which is the soul, the ego, the message of the ego, the message of the soul is always conveyed by Mercury. And therefore Mercury, which usually people think that because it is fast moving, it is always close to Sun, the effect is far less. However, the effect of Mercury in astrology is far more significant than you can even imagine. Imagine Mercury that rules brain controls the most prominent control house, the control center of the human body, the nervous system. Imagine nothing will work if anything goes wrong with nervous system. That means Mercury directly controls mind and thinking capacity. Emotions need this nervous system to adhere, to survive, and if anything happens to this nervous system, if neuron starts firing in wrong direction, emotions cannot sustain that kind of neurological damage and can go haywire. So somewhere Moon is also dependent on Mercury. I will explain you how. Mercury rules two zodiac signs, Gemini and Virgo. Gemini is natural third house and Virgo is natural sixth house. So Mercury defines repeated work, Mercury defines fast moving work, Mercury defines swift action. Mercury also rules journalism, mass media, internet communication, any kind of telecom industry. Mercury also rules any kind of teaching, any kind of books, publication, and any sort of media that relays and conveys information. So any kind of information exchange in any sort is controlled and governed by very small planet, tiny planet, Mercury. Mahadasha of Mercury is of 17 years and Mercury is exalted in the house of Virgo. So Mercury gets exalted in its own house. Now Mercury is exalted in 6th house, the house of conflict, So definitely Mercury is a planet that would apply logic into conflict resolution, because if there is one house that needs logic to resolve the attributes of the house, it's the sixth house, because that's the house of law, that's the house of disputes, any kind of debt, any kind of financial transactions, everything happens through sixth house, and sixth house is the house of repeated and regular activity, just like maintaining the passbook of your life. So Mercury, it becomes exalted, and Mercury finds great capacity to work at that particular zodiac. Whereas Mercury on the house of Pisces becomes debilitated, because Pisces is all about imagination, Mercury is all about logic. So Mercury is a very practical planet, and it has no role in Pisces. It goes crazy, it goes totally imaginative, instinctive. So we say Mercury is debilitated in the sign of Pisces. The three nakshatra, you will be surprised to hear this. If you know more about the property of these three nakshatra, you will understand how important Mercury is. The three nakshatras ruled by Mercury are Gandanta nakshatra. That means Gandanta point forms at this particular nakshatra. You will understand about Gandanta if you go deeper into Vedic astrology. The nakshatra are Ashlesha, found in the zodiac of Cancer, Jyeshtha, found in the zodiac of Scorpio, and Revati, found in the zodiac of Pisces. So these three nakshatra are the nakshatras which is ruled by Mercury in Vimshottari Mahadasha system. Apart from that, to understand one more concept that is associated with Mercury, that is a very famous conjunction known as Buddhaditya Yoga. Buddhaditya means Sun-Mercury conjunction. Now, because you know Mercury will always be either behind Sun, that means one house before Sun, with the Sun, or one house after the Sun, this becomes a very common yoga in like almost like 30-40% of the entire planet. That means Mercury will always take the message from the Sun and try to relay, and the position and the role of Mercury will be defined how far it is away from the Sun, whether it is behind the Sun, with the Sun, or ahead of the Sun. Now coming to the benefic effects of Mercury, if Mercury is actually good in your horoscope, you will have great speech abilities. You will be able to convey your message in a very articulate manner. You will be master of language. At least you will master your own language. You will be able to convey your thoughts in a very precise manner, and you will mean what you say. That's benefic Mercury. You will be excellent, and you will be renowned through your speech. You will be famous because of the way you speak. That's how important Mercury is. Do not ignore Mercury in your horoscope. If Mercury is malefic, in that case, Mercury screws up with the nervous system, it screws up with the perception. Now imagine your emotional body needs your physical, neurological support. Without the support of the brain, if the neurons don't fire properly, moon is going to go distorted. Moon's energy will become very much damaging. That is why anxiety, nervous disorders, brain issues, spinal cord issues, sudden pain in the body, all these things will start happening, and Mercury is one of the primary reasons to have any kind of immunity disorder and any kind of neurological disturbance such as paralysis. So Mercury has to really go very much bad in order to have these kind of issues come in your life. Plus you should be under some sort of effect of Mercury Mahadasha or Antardasha. We will leave that up to the analysis of an astrologer, an expert astrologer. But if Mercury is bad, you will not be able to convey your message properly. Your thinking process will change. You will not be able to think properly, think right, think straight. There will be sleep disturbance. Some or the other minor issues will keep on popping inside your body, and a lot of multiple factors. Now imagine the entire brain is not functioning properly. So you can imagine to what extent the problem can go or cascade. A problem that comes through Mercury will be fast, swift, and it will impact very quickly. It won't be slow at all. So Mercury has to be read in a very specific way in your horoscope if you want to know much about how your neurological or how your physical body is responding to the energies that you give to that human being. So in this way, that is why it is said that when you Listen to optimism. When you listen to positive attitude, what happens? Brain rewires itself, brain takes it as a feedback, brain learns from what you give to the stimuli. So all the stimulus that you give, all the processing that happens through Mercury. So when you are giving the positive and optimistic feed to the brain, Mercury processes it and then logically analyzes it, and it tries to rebuild the brain in a far more optimistic way. So your decision making capacity changes. So in a way, Mercury also defines decision making ability. Mercury also defines how quickly you can transform yourself, how quickly you can change, how quickly you can understand. So there are people who can simply learn and simply understand few subjects very easily, and for some it takes eternity to understand simple logic. This is because of the functioning of Mercury. Mercury has to respond properly in your horoscope in order for your entire horoscope to work fine. Now, if Mercury goes bad, any kind of yoga that is present in your horoscope may become negative, because ultimately your brain, your neurons, your nervous system is not functioning the way it should function. Maybe it is taking you towards the negative side. Maybe it is telling you how to use the same energies of the horoscope but on the destructive end. So in this way, you have to carefully analyze how your Mercury is placed. Is it placed in 6, 8 and 12? How can you make the best use of Mercury? How can you make the best? So if any planet is bad, if you can empower your Mercury in a very specific way depending upon how it is placed in your horoscope, what nakshatra it is, what zodiac it is, if you can just strengthen this one planet, and by strengthening I do not mean wearing a gemstone. No. By strengthening, I mean you go to your horoscope, talk to an astrologer, carefully analyze, and if you know how to adjust and calibrate this planet, much can be done with your horoscope. At least you can have the maximum efficiency achieved with whatever you have in your horoscope. The gemstone of Mercury is emerald, and the day on the 7-day weekday is Wednesday. So while Mercury involves communication, this also means Mercury is one way how you convey your personality. So if Sun is your personality, if Sun and Ascendant defines who you are, how will you convey that to the entire world? This is defined by Mercury. Maybe you are extremely good in your personality, but you don't know how to put forward, you don't know how to market it, you don't know how to, and Mercury is trying to confuse the communication, confuse the message given. So if the messenger itself is bad, imagine what kind of message will go to the mass. So guys, that was a brief analysis on Mercury. Next video will be on Jupiter. Stay tuned.